I'm a school superintendent. I'm at a much different scale in terms of the two previous presenters. So in New York State, I'm just ahead of a district. We have just over 2,000 students. I have four buildings within my district, 344 staff. And so I've always looked at Thought Exchange as how can I not have this tool? When I just heard the previous stories, when you're talking about 86,000 kids and 30,000 kids, I don't know how you don't have Thought Exchange as a tool because I found it very helpful, but I'm not even close to your scale. So, one of the things with the Discover for me is this AI project that we're doing. AI obviously being something that's changing every day, and we're trying to figure out how to manage it as well as teach our students how to use it properly. And my goal or our goal was to how can we make sure when students go off to college, they know what they're doing and they know how to use it, but also how can we teach kids and make our learning more engaging and use this tool of AI just to have maybe just more engagement with students in the classroom. And also at the same time, allowing teachers to make more engaging, let's say, lessons, as well as more engaging um, just assignments for the students and hopefully increase the learning that's happening, help with attendance, help with all these measures and things that we're all dealing with across America. So that was our goal. And what we found was this is my 30th year in education. I've been an administrator for 25 years and watching how kids have changed throughout the years for anyone who's been in it for a long time, you can see the differences. And so right now, the engaging piece is really kind of hitting me in the head with a two by four as I watch it. I've got three children. One's out of college, just graduated. My son is graduating this year, and I have a daughter in as a freshman, and they're talking about AI like crazy in the college level. And I'm looking at our level saying we've got to get on this bus and help our kids understand this and help our community to understand how it can be a positive thing for our community. So worked with Momo to what I found is my most trusted teachers, the teachers that will help us move initiatives the best, were struggling the most with AI because they were afraid of it. And they were nervous about, kids are just going to use it to cheat. We don't want that. Kids are not going to be critically thinking because they're just going to use AI to do it for them. And there's certainly realness to those concerns. However, my theory was, this genie's out of the bottle. We understand all of that, and we have to be able to try to figure out how to teach them. So the example that I keep using was simply two things. It's not fair if we're going to put our head in the sand and then I have neighboring schools that are doing a really good job with this and teaching kids how to use it. Our kids aren't going to be as prepared as they could be, number one. And number two, I want it to kind of be like the speed limit. And there's multiple speed limits when we get in our car and drive. And sometimes it's 55, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 65. And so when we're teaching kids how to use AI, there are moments where the assignment is going to allow them to maybe use it more, and the speed limit might be 60 miles an hour in that assignment. But then there's other times where it's only going to be 30 miles an hour, and the kids need to understand the why. And so we've created an infographic that, as part of creating a policy, was the ultimate goal here, where my teachers who were struggling with this concept we're basically saying we don't have a policy, we don't have guardrails, we don't know what's going to happen if kids do cheat versus if they don't cheat. How are we going to manage this? So that's kind of where Momo and our work
So
began.
yeah, Jeremy, I think that's a really good elevator. And maybe that actually speaks into this slide a little bit of the thing that you just shared with some of the key pain points. And really, you actually already had a series of engagements that you ran with our engagement and our adaptive surveys around gathering voice feedback around what is the place of AI in education from parents, staff, and students? And then I think you provided, hey, well, here's some sample code of conduct and sample policies that we're in general alignment with. Could we feed it all together to come up with a first draft, right, of a potential AI policy? So I think some of the insights that we came up together were like, what are the concerns? What are perceived benefits? What about drafting something that's maybe 80 or 75% of the way there and some talking points for the community, right?
Yep.
So I'll pivot to actually just sharing it, if that's okay, Jeremy, just sharing some of the example screenshots. But here, I'll just share my screen. And just to show you what it looks like inside, you should see. So we actually came up with two different collections. One very centric to giving Jeremy and his team the necessary things. And you can see here we have those engagements: AI in education, AI in staff, a sample policy, code of conduct, right here. And then we have concerns regarding AI use, perceived benefits, AI code of conduct alignment, common ground and differences, potentially drafting a comprehensive governance policy document that is legally anchored, right? But outside of this, which kind of looks like this, is fairly extensive, we also wanted to come up with some talking points that you could use with the community, right? If you recall, we had like a Q&A page. And then the thing that Jeremy's talking about is to give an infographic that looks kind of like this. And Jeremy, maybe you can speak into if this has already emerged into the classrooms or is still kind of in discussion, but
Yeah, so the infographic is key because we can place it in each classroom. And when a teacher gives the assignment, the teacher still has control of how much use is going to happen with the assignment in particular. So kids can look at this and the teacher can say, red light, yellow light, green light. This assignment is going to be more of a yellow light assignment, kind of going back to the speed limit where you're going to be able to use AI, but there's going to be guardrails and parameters around how you're going to be able to use it. And the infographic allows some basic understanding of examples of what yellow light usage of AI will entail. Or this type of, we're going to do a test. This is a red light. This is all on your own. You're not doing it. Or this is green light. This is where you always can use AI while you're in the classroom. And so just to kind of put it for better understanding, we have not allowed our students, even though we're a one-to-one school district, to basically use AI in school. Certainly they can go home and use AI, but we want to bring it into school where they can use AI. And that is where this policy is kind of going to wrap around and give us the guidance of how we're going to maneuver through this. And so one other big piece is because it's changing so quickly, we are basically designing it where we have our policy, which is going to be our technology use form, which talks about how kids have to behave with the technology. But then we're going to use this, what we created, as more like a regulation. And what that means is I don't have to constantly go to my Board of Education and get it adopted once a month with the board. I'll have more leeway with a regulation to work with my admin team and principals to adjust this as AI is constantly changing. And so we feel like that's going to be a better way for us to mold and move through how it's changing every day while also giving guidance and guardrails for teachers, community, and students to know exactly what will happen if they kind of break the rules, but also how to use it properly and how to, let's say, amp up their learning, how teachers can use it to better engage our students. And so we are at the process right now of adopting this as our district. And then the month of June will be rolling it out to our teachers so that they can understand how this is going to be implemented. And then we leave at the end of June for summer vacation and we come back in September. And the idea is in September, we will then roll it over the summer. We will roll it out to the community via our communication methods. This is coming. And then in September, our teachers will be prepared and professionally developed in June, as well as in September, of how to use this, so that in September we can teach the kids how we're going to do it. And see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we're excited to kind of continue to tag along too, Jeremy, and see where
Mhm.
we can offer support. Dave, I know we're almost at time. Do you have any closing words? And Jeremy, thank you so much for your awesome partnership. You've been just such a pleasure to work with
Yeah, and
too.
I think just to kind of capture what all three of us have said, the ability to put multiple inputs of data and voice into creating everything that each of us have created as presenters. The Discover platform allowed us to do that, where if it was just me kind of trying to collate all of this information, yeah, I probably could do it, but it would have taken me 4 or 5 months probably when I don't have that kind of time. And so Thought Exchange allows me to think about this, all this information, and then put it together, spit it out, look at it, make sure my heartbeat understands the heartbeat of the community, and then move forward and also make sure that the community had a voice, the students had a voice, the teachers had a voice, and we're not getting dragged down with, well, I didn't know, or no one ever shared this with me, or we're trying to take away the excuses. We just have to kind of do this and move forward, and we're all going to do it together. But this is going to be a fast process, and we're going to have voice. If you want to get on the bus, get on the bus. If you don't, that's your choice. This is where we're driving.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. I couldn't have said it better myself.